Biosolids disposal, we entered into an agreement with Latos Sanitation, our solid waste franchisee, so we are disposing of biosolids locally. We used to truck those to Lewiston. Now they just go 8 miles east of town. Sewer capital projects, currently Les and his crew in Public Works are working on what we will need to do to meet Phase 5 requirements of the wastewater treatment plant improvement, and you'll see that coming to you as that study progresses. Sanitation fund, a 3% increase is also proposed. We have lots of collection service changes. You approved a strategic plan here 2 or 3 months ago. A route management system is just being implemented. I believe that a press release just went out or will go out fairly quickly on that. That will help us keep track of the folks who utilize the service, and they will be appropriately billed for their use of this volume-based service. We have a fuel element that is still in our agreement with our long-haul disposal, Idaho. Help me out, Don. What's the name of the Waste Connections of Idaho? Thank you. Waste Connections of Idaho and Latos Sanitation.
Vulcan Mayfield.
When the price of diesel goes pretty high, then the city has always given some relief for that because that was not contemplated in our original contract, which, by the way, is 17 years old this year and can go for another 13 years. Biosolids program, we already talked about that. Sustainability has become a big program in the city and a fairly low-cost program and is yielding dividends. If you look at these different programs, go back. Using my wrong. There we go. It's supposed to be going the other way.
Had it. You had it.
How do we go back on this thing? Sorry, I'm just technically challenged tonight. We're getting close. I was doing so well there for a moment, too. You guys notice how Bill always comes over and helps out whoever's having trouble, but he won't get up for me. Ooh.
Well, that's because you're so scary.
That's right. Okay, to go back where we were. A greenhouse gas report and inventory was prepared a couple of years ago, and the council adopted a reduction goal of 20% by 2020. An eco-driver program, which is intended to reduce fuel and make people more efficient drivers, received an honorable mention at AIC, and that program is available to anybody in the city of Moscow, and our street department and our sustainability intern are prepared to assist folks with hopefully following that eco-driver program on their own vehicles. Power Predictor is one of those units we use to estimate whether or not, say, solar power, water power might assist. We have Energy Star, Baggett campaign, so on and so forth. Initiatives that are currently underway. Electronic correspondence. Wayne was talking to me today about the volume of paper that you all received for this council meeting. So we'll be looking at that and bringing that back to council. Dimming lights, relative to the mayor's comments earlier in this meeting. We're working on ways to cut down on electricity there. Event recycling in parks. Use of biodiesel year-round, different percentages. Limited irrigation season, that's approved or set by the Public Works Director in the spring. We have a water conservation program, green building. The recycled asphalt pavement is something that has gotten rave reviews around town. We're taking pavement that is ground off of streets where we can, where the volume is sufficient, and putting that on previously unpaved streets, so that helps a lot. Press release will go out tomorrow. I'll give you a little teaser here that compost will be available for the public at the Latos Sanitation transfer station. That press release will guide you as to how to get it and how much you can get, but that's also a added benefit of our recycling and our composting programs.
Is there a charge for that, Gary?
No.
So it's free to the public?
It's free to the public.
It's for non-food.
Yeah, there's instructions on how to use it, but and hopefully only people who are non-commercial We hope we don't have any landscapers out there getting it. It will be limited, but that press release will go out tomorrow. Okay, other funds that are part of our budget, we have the bonds and interest fund. Our GO debt right now is for Fire Station number 3 and Hamilton Low Aquatic Center. General obligation debt, of course, is a percentage of our ad valorem taxation. It's around, I don't have exact numbers, but over $20 million. 21 million, 22 million, I believe, is the limit on GO debt for the city of Moscow. Okay, we had 2 budget workshops, July 25th and August 8th. At the July 25th workshops, these were the changes that the council recommended and have been integrated into your budget, and that is legislative travel and meetings, outside organizations, economic development, affordable housing, and general fund property taxes in those numbers and percentages that you see before you. August 8th workshop, we knew that, or we'd been given a estimate by our health and accident insurance, I should say health insurance company, Regents Blue Shield, that we could expect a rate increase of between 6 and 18%, being hopefully good budget folks. We put in 17%. Then
16 and 18. I think you said 6.
Oh, 16.
16 and 18.
I'm sorry, 16 and 18. I know we have a couple public hearings. I'm trying to get through this as quick as I can. Anyway, we negotiated. We worked with Helding Employee Benefits Company, our contractors who assisted us in negotiating with Regents, and we made one virtually invisible change to the program. It won't affect any benefits to the employees, and we got that down to 2.2%. We had some other things that we proposed. Council decided to take the 2.2%, so that's what we did. Also, they gave direction that the adjustments that were made at the July 15th workshop should be integrated in the budget, and have been. And I was directed then to review and recommend adjustments to employee salary and benefits, taking the following things into account. First, the avoided cost of the health insurance premium, proposed increase in the city's VEBA contribution. As you recall, that had been proposed to be at $500 per employee. Which it was the first 2 years of the program, and that if that were to be reduced to $250 per employee, which it has been the last 2 years, what that would do. And then finally, we had proposed a 1% salary adjustment for employees paid at 10% or more below market, so that was thrown into the mix as well. And the proposal is a 2.7% adjustment for employee salaries, as your memos indicate, in order to, or will be implemented through the step and grade program in the police department. That would be police officers, corporals, and sergeants, and through our actively managed performance system of pay for other city employees. Okay, I want to thank specifically Don Palmer, and you can get him up here and grill him in a minute if you like. Sue Nelson, Don's accounting manager, Lori Lewis, executive assistant, and Jen Piffner, the assistant city supervisor, for their assistance in preparation of this budget. I know a lot of people had a hand in it, and I don't want to leave folks off, but these are the ones who were in it from the very beginning to the bitter end. So stand for questions.
Council members have questions for Gary about the budget presentation before we open the hearing. Walter?
Thank you, ma'am. Gary, if you back up one, if you can, back up one slide. If you have to run through the whole thing, I'll just ask my question. There you go.
Hey, check it out.
Oh, not too far. One
Okay.
more. Forward.
Got it.
There.
Take your finger off the,
Yeah.
step
I'll
away
put it
from the
down
button.
now.
The 2.7% adjustment for employee salaries is not a 2.7 across the board. It is a step and grade change within the police department and a AMPS system among other employees. Is that correct?
Yeah, the way that, after taking into account all of these factors, in order to get a number, and what we did is we took all employees and applied a percentage until we came up with the number that the savings represented. Now, how that will be administered for AMPS, for instance, Human Resources, the Finance Department, and myself will sit down and we come up with what we affectionately call the matrix. The matrix is something that applies a performance rating to your performance, and the amount of salary increase, whether it be market adjustment or performance adjustment, is administered within that program. The AMP system is set up so once you hit the market rate of pay, in other words, you're paid 100% of market for your position, then it's harder to get raises after that. So you have to have there's a performance element to it. In the AMP system, a cost of living adjustment is not automatically given to you. You have to earn it through your performance. And in the step and grade system that the police department opted for, it's a totally different system, but it has a very distinct CPI and step increase to it. So, in answer to your question, no, not every employee, depending on where you are in the market, matrix, excuse me, then you may see all of 2.7. Typically, if you're below market, it is easier based on your performance to get to the 2.7 or perhaps above it. So it isn't like, for instance, I'm not going to automatically get a 2.7% increase in my pay.
Walter?
Thank you, ma'am. Focusing in on the police department in
Yes.
that context, does performance enter into their consideration, or do they step and grade up to a point and then they freeze? Help me understand. I think I understand the employees, the non-police. The police are a little more confusing.
If we were in a situation where we could fully fund both the step and grade program and the AMPS program, then those officers, corporals, and sergeants who are at the top step would receive a COLA alone. That's the essence of the step and grade program. If you are below the top step, then you would receive a 3.5% increase in pay until you reach the top step. Now, because this 2.7 adjustment has not been allocated to a CPI, Consumer Price Index, COLA adjustment, or performance alone, then that remains to see how we will administer that.
So an officer in the police department that's at top of step and grade is not guaranteed any increase under what's proposed, but may get an increase. Does that make
I would say that applies to everybody in the city. You're providing us the authority, you're making the appropriation for us to administer this pay adjustment throughout the city through our pay systems in place. Now, as I said, for step and grade, when you get to the top step, you're not eligible for further performance under the step and grade system. You're only entitled to a CPI.
But the other side of my question is they are entitled at top of step and grade in the police department to seeing some increase under the proposal before us.
I think I can virtually guarantee that we will, well, more than virtually guarantee it, it will happen that we will treat everybody as fairly as we can, and that includes those in the top step.
They're not automatically precluded?
No.
Okay, that's
No,
all. That's
not
what
at
I'm
all.
asking. Okay, thank you.
And if I may expound on that a little
Please.
bit. As we've gone through a pay freeze and then we went to just a CPI adjustment last year, you know, the council, I think, has made some very good points that the employees have been with us, they've been working with us through these tough times. We don't want to cut anybody out. We want everybody treated as fairly as possible, and no, nobody is, because of where you are, going to get nothing.